Hi, this is Delegate Patrick Hope. Last week was budget week at the Virginia Capitol. The House and the Senate both passed competing two-year budgets. The partisan divide between the two chambers really comes down to how far you want to go on tax cuts, which affects how much revenue is available to spend on key priorities such as public schools and public employee pay raises. The Republicans in the House have hitched their wagon to the priorities of Governor Glenn Youngkin, dipping into a historic surplus of funds to cover the cost of doubling taxpayer standard deduction, stopping an increase in the gasoline tax, and eliminating the state and local taxes on groceries. The Senate, on the other hand, is proposing a much more modest, back-to-basics approach to tax cuts that add up to about $2.5 billion over the two-year spending plan. The House's tax cuts add up to about $5.3 billion, a $2.7 billion difference, and that means the Senate can afford to fund many more government programs, including more funding for public schools, pay raises for teachers and state employees, and greater investments in health and human services. Confronted with big state surpluses, estimated about $2.6 billion this year and at least $3.5 billion over the next 2 years, the Senate budget makes long postponed investments in state services with more limited tax cuts. The Senate plan includes $420 million over the 2 years for a refundable earned income tax credit for low-income working Virginians. The House zeroes that funding out. The House would also eliminate the full 2.5% statewide sales tax on groceries, and then allocate the money to reimburse localities for the 1% portion that was dedicated to them at a cost of over $1 billion. The Senate would eliminate only the portion of the grocery tax levied by the state, about 1.5%, at a cost of $372 million. The Senate would fund the 5% pay raises for teachers and state employees, plus one-time bonuses of $1,000. The House would offer 4% pay raises and bonuses of just 1%. That translates to nearly a $70 million reduction in staff compensation compared to the Senate proposal. The Senate also sets aside $500 million to provide grants to schools around the state for construction and renovation, while the House is proposing only $291 million loan rebate program. The Senate budget retains $44 million that Northam had proposed to expand access to early childhood education, but the House version cuts that amount by $6 million, eliminating plans to serve many more 3-year-olds. Additionally, the Senate would put in $190 million in the Virginia Housing Trust Fund to help qualifying residents afford housing. The House would not do that. So many Virginians are literally being priced out of their homes through rising rent and housing costs. Now is not the time to reduce funding for Virginia's Housing Trust Fund. In addition, a key difference between the two budgets is the House bill removes Virginia from the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, also called RGGI, which cuts $170 million. RGGI has already had an impact, a positive one, in reducing carbon emissions in Virginia and putting resources toward community flood preparedness, coastal resilience, and energy efficiency programs. Needless to say, in the totality, I voted against the House budget because I know we can do better. The Senate budget is far superior budget that takes a more targeted approach to tax relief aimed at families who need it the most. The Senate also makes historic investments in our public schools, our teachers, our health and human resources for our most vulnerable populations, and affordable housing. This coming week, the Senate bill will come to the House floor for a vote, and I look forward to voting for the Senate version. The two competing versions will then go to a conference committee, and I'm hopeful that my support for the Senate in opposition to the House will lead to a compromise that more closely mirrors the Senate and the majority of what Virginians want. Well, that's all the updates I have from the House of Delegates this week. Please join me here next week. In the meantime, if you have a question or a comment, you can always call my office at area code 804-698-1047 or email me at delegatephope@house.virginia.gov. Until next week, thanks for listening, and please continue to be safe.